intern with iParada for this year, and I'm excited to be a part of the panel we got going on tonight. So, so we're going to be discussing the importance of Black men mentoring our youth. So, starting off, what is the Kujenga Wellness Project? Kujenga is a Black-led grassroots project designed to initiate supportive community resources for children, youth, adults, and families in Durham region. We strive to build our community foundation, promote holistic teaching and education, and promote mental wellness and healing from trauma. We're going to start off with a land acknowledgement. The region of Durham exists on lands that Mississauga Anishinaabeg inhabited for thousands of years prior to European colonization. These lands are the traditional and treaty territories of the nations covered under the Williams Treaty, including the Mississaugas of Skook Island First Nation, Alderville First Nation, Hiawatha First Nation, Curve Lake First Nation, and the Chippewa Nations of Georgina Island, Bosolel, and Rama. We honor, recognize, and respect Indigenous peoples as rights holders and stewards of the lands and waters on which we have the privilege to live. In our efforts towards reconciliation, we continue to build and strengthen relationships with First Nations, as well as the larger Métis communities and growing Inuit communities here in Durham. We commit to learning from Indigenous values and knowledge, building opportunities for collaboration, and recognizing that we are all connected. So we have a list of 3 speakers tonight, and I am going to give it over to John Jack. John, you're muted.
Well, see, lucky you're here. So, yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Jack. I am the manager of programs and family outreach at Kujenga Wellness Project. I'm here with my amazing colleagues. We have a great lineup of amazing men that do a variation of different work in our communities. This topic today is going to be a really good conversation in regards to mentorship. And I have my colleague Curtis Shepard with me, who could share with you what his position is with our organization.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Curtis Shepard. I'm a family well-being worker here at iParada, and I do look forward to this educational piece tonight, joining with you, where we can elaborate and gain some insight and knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lincoln, would you mind sharing?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So my name is Lincoln Alexander Estridge. I am the founder of a few organizations. The 2 I'm going to be representing here today is Success Support, where I help busy professionals and young professionals maximize their efficiency through accountability and time management. And then I also have a nonprofit called the Fight Inside Society, where we destigmatize and decolonize mental illness out of Pickering, but then across the Durham region and GTA.
Yes, and also can you share that you have a book, right?
I do. I am the best-selling author of the book, Your Personal Success Formula, The Power of Self-Investment. It became a bestseller in May, and the book is supposed to help individuals define and develop their own definition of success and execute it efficiently as well.
Thank you so much. Jama.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, brother. Please share.
Amazing. I'm so excited to be on this panel with everyone. My name is Jama Youssef. I am a research coordinator at CAMH. So I focus a lot of my research around developing smoking cessation strategies for Black communities across the GTA. I'm also a program facilitator at a grassroots organization called Say Somali. And Say Somali is an organization that is committed towards Somali youth across the GTA, primarily in the west end of Toronto, but we service youth all the way across to Kitchener, Ontario, to be honest. So providing them with a lot of educational, professional development opportunities, mentorship, and ensuring that they have the opportunities to kind of succeed within their respective fields. that is a lot more of my passion, the work that I do with my community there. So a lot of mentoring that kind of happens in that space. So excited to kind of speak on my experiences there, and what I've kind of seen as I've navigated that myself, but also excited to learn from you folks on the panel as well, and to learn about your different experiences and how what can I take from that today, and what can I use to implement that in my day to day. So excited for the conversations that we're going to have tonight.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much, brother. And also, I have my good friend Gary. I know he was just connected here. Gary, can you hear me? Okay. There we go. I can't hear you though. If you could unmute.
Is that better?
Beautiful.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's great to be on this panel.
Yes.
I see Mr. Lincoln, the awesome author. I met Lincoln, I think, back in the summer at the park, if I remember correctly. And so, yes, it's great to be on this panel. My forte, or my calling, I would say, is to look out for the fatherless, to help people find their identity. I'm also a professional fitness trainer. I would say a life transformer. That's my goal and my hunger, to impact lives moment by moment. It happens every day. There's no set time. It's every day, literally. As early as last week, I had a young gentleman come through the gym, and my eyes were fixated on this man. I went up to him. I started speaking into this man, and come to find out, I tell this man I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and the dude, he starts crying. He goes, I never had a grandfather. He goes, I've had men who've come and they've left. I said to the young man, what is your name? He said, Noah. I said, wow. I said, I got a grandson named Noah. I call him Noah Carley. And I do spoken word. This man does spoken word. I said, Noah, you know what? I'd be honored to be your spiritual grandfather. Broke down crying. So it's things like that that happen anywhere at any time that keeps me going. And that's the hunger that I have to, and to meet John. It's another blessing. I met John where at Oshawa Mall, and after that, and Lincoln, of course, I met you. And this is all that meeting is for such a time as this. So
Absolutely.
I know something great is happening, and we're going to take a piece from each other and create a flame, an inferno where we won't be stopped, not be quenched.
Let's do that. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. So this wonderful, rich topic of mentorship. The reason why we came up with it was because there's some concerns. There's some concerns within our communities. We're noticing a shift in our young people, and specifically our young males, in terms of their ability to connect with each other, reason with each other, build positive relationships with each other, all of the above. As of recent, or maybe not even as of recent, I'm not sure if any of you are on Facebook or whatever social media platform, but there seems to be an influx of young Black males being absent.
Yes.
I'm hesitant to use the word missing, but I'll get into that. But they tend to be absent, and there's tons of images going up between ages of about roughly 14 to about mid-20s, 19, 20. And that is extremely concerning. But before we get into even that specific, what question I would like to throw out is, what is your perception of mentorship? I'll start with you, Curtis.
Mentorship, it's like a role model. It's like someone you can basically look up to, you can emulate from, someone that, comes with, with some wisdom, nuggets of wisdom that you can use in your own life, in your own perspective, that's going to help guide and channel you in the right directions in a positive way. Mentorship it's like a partnership between two people. You, the mentor, and the mentee, coming together and working collaboratively together, providing that support and again that guidance going forward.
Thank you. I enjoy that in terms of providing that guidance moving forward, the progression, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jama, what is your perception of mentorship?
I like to think of, for me, I think about mentorship in a different way. Like Curtis, I appreciate how you kind of defined it. For me, I think about it in relation to my own experiences and navigating my, my professional career and thinking about the things that I lacked and wanting to and didn't have access to, and thinking about how I can be that resource, that support, that kind of hub for folks who were in similar areas as me. One of the biggest pillars of our community organization, Say Somali, is around mentorship. And really what we do is we try our best to provide that blueprint to give folks that roadmap that we had to, essentially make their journeys throughout these spaces a lot more manageable. I wouldn't say easier because there comes more challenges that we hadn't faced that they're facing now. But trying to understand that in the context of their current situations and providing them with the expertise that we have to manage and navigate those spaces. So for me, when I think about mentorship myself, I think of myself as a resource for our youth, and thinking of myself as just a hub. You know what I mean? I think mentorship is a cyclical process. It's always ever changing. And what I try to do and to really instill with the youth that we work alongside is this is how I'm providing mentorship to you, but I want you to start thinking about how are you providing mentorship to others and trying to give them opportunity to develop their own kind of skill sets and their own kind of style when it comes towards mentorship. But it all comes differently. It's like any kind of relationship, right? Like I've mentored in the past where people just want a person to message on the side whenever they have questions and stuff like that. And I'm like, by all means, let's do it. I've had these youth who want to go out, grab a coffee or whatever drink of preference it is to them, but just kind of sit down and talk things through in person. So, and when I say being a resource, I just making myself available as much as possible. But also, Curtis, as you mentioning all those things that Curtis had mentioned as well, and keeping those things true and ensuring that they're getting the most out of me, right? I think one thing that people might and we see this a lot in mentorship is that people make themselves available, but they don't make themselves too available. They might be gatekeeping a certain amount of information. They might not be willing to give you the whole thing.
Yes.
And for me, it just kind of is counterproductive to the idea of what mentorship is. So giving you as much as I can, as much as I have, as much information as I have, and hoping that you're able to use that information in the way that is best suited for you. So that's how I see it.
Well summed up. One thing that you said that really resonated with me when you said making yourself available, but not making yourself too available. Because sometimes you could fall into positions where you extend yourself too much,
Yeah.
where it kind of blurs the boundaries of how much that you can give.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're gonna need a moment for yourself to kind of rejuvenate before you continue to help and stuff like that.
For
Yeah.
sure. I think I speak with a lot of like within the health and wellness space.
Yes.
A lot of folks I talk to, I like, there's always that need for care and providing support and being an individual that you can lean on. But if you can't lean on yourself, you cannot allow other people will not be able to lean on you, right? So
Thank you.
always understanding how much your mental wellness and your mental well-being also takes into play when you're considering the support that you're being.
Yes.
And if you're not taking care of yourself, there's no way you're able to provide care and support to other people as well. So yeah.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Lincoln, your
Yeah,
perception.
absolutely. I love what Jama said. That's exactly where I was going to go as well. Something I'm very passionate about, I think I've spoken to you about it, is something I wrote about in the book called the exposure principle. So my philosophy is that your world is only as big as you've been exposed to, right? I was thinking about this the other day. in preparation for this conversation, and I was thinking about the term mentorship. And I think when it comes to business and when it comes to different communities, when I'm talking to my white friends or my Asian friends and they talk about mentorship, or having a mentor, there's such a positive connotation attached to it. And it has people thinking about elevation and secrets and codes to things and shortcuts and things that their mentors had to go through, giving them the exposure to it so that they don't have to go through it, right? Exactly as Jama was saying. And I feel like for the Black community, mentorship looks like redirection more times than it does elevation. And
Mm.
it I do think we've had to redirect. We've had to focus on redirection, because we haven't focused a lot on the exposure aspect.
Yes.
But I exactly like what Jim was saying, that is my stance on mentorship. That's, I think, what I try to do in my role as a mentor to as many people as I can be, kind of in the same way as Gary. Like, another one of my philosophies is that we're all, whether you like it or not, we're all influencers, right? People are looking at you, whether you want them to or not. So the way you live your life can encourage someone to live one way or the other. So with that mindset, with the power that each one of us has, to change someone's life just by the way we live our own, we all have an ability to mentor someone indirectly or directly. And it's just the consciousness and the awareness that, okay, everything I do matters, right?
Right.
Whether I care about it or not, it does matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
I enjoy that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for that.
for sure.
Samantha, who is listening, said something fantastic, and I appreciate you for that. She said, being someone who will provide guidance, support, accountability to someone else, being present when interacting with individuals. And one of the words that stands out for me is accountability. It's really important to hold yourself accountable in terms of your actions, what you say, all of the above. Hamdi, what's your perception?
I really liked what Jamin said regarding someone that does not hold back or like kind of gatekeep information. Because as a mentor, you really have to be someone that's willing to give your all and kind of give all the information for that person that you're guiding, right? You want that
Mhm.
person to succeed. You want that person to take advantage of what you're telling them, the advice you're giving. But a mentor can be someone that's, you know what I mean, giving 75% of the information and keeping the other. You know what I mean? So, being a mentor, being someone that is giving out guidance, you have to be someone that's really willing to share all the information. Can't be someone that's not selfish, but like you don't want someone to do better than you. You know, I don't know what the exact word is for it, but yeah, if as a mentor you want to be someone that wants to see that person do better than you, kind of succeed, right?
Right.
So and I also think that going off what Samantha was saying as well, accountability is a big one. You have to be that person that kind of says, hey, like what you're doing is not right, right? Like what you're doing over here, what you said, what you did, it's it's not good for you. You have to be that person that tells the person that, like, you know, the things they don't want to hear. You can't kind of be a pushover and kind of give someone information and say that, hey, like you're doing all this right. That doesn't work as a mentor. You have to be the person that kind of guides an individual into the right direction without caring if that person's happy with the advice you're giving or not.
Yes, absolutely, Hamdi. I agree with that. Carlton, I appreciate you. John Telfer said, mentorship to me means empowerment. Empowerment, that encompasses a lot of the things that we're saying here, to empower one, to uplift them, to help them propel forward. Absolutely. Gary, what is your perception in terms of mentorship?
Mentorship is about
Mm,
being authentic about where you're coming from. Because they see me as a mentor or a coach or whatever, but I
mhm,
tell them I wasn't always a coach.
mm,
I tell them where I'm coming from and how I became what I am today and still going.
right.
And I have to use one gentleman as an example. that I worked with he was 14 when he first came in. I started work with him. And his father was present, but not present.
Right.
Didn't care about his craft. He was a big kid with a man's body, but didn't know how to move his body.
Right.
Couldn't do one push-up. And I trained this guy for several years. I didn't bash him. He became a client. He was a client, but then I started treating him more like a son. And I didn't realize, because I was just doing it naturally. But this young man, he was overlooked in basketball and stuff like that. But this man recently wrote his master's and he dedicated it to me. And I was like, wow. And he said, my trainer, mentor, father figure, and true friend. Now, that is heavy. Now, his father, in 6 years, never said anything. But I was present. We were far. He was all the way out in Brampton. I'm out in Whitby.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking after hours, all the time going. It's about being present and listening. And saying, I'm going to be there for you and be there for you.
Yes.
Don't say I'm going to be there and not show up.
Right.
And
that happens.
do a lot of listening.
Mm.
And I
good.
mean, for what we do, there's not a price tag on it. Even though we need, but there's no price tag. I call it heart currency.
Mhm.
It's heart currency. I mean, the greatest thing is to know that you had an impact on somebody's life, because it's going to be generational. Because they'll tell their father or they'll tell their friends, hey, this is what my mentor did. Hey, my mentor knows these X, Y, other guys who do the same thing. You know, one dude writes a book, man. This guy named Lincoln. He got a big book out there. You guys got to go and get that book.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
Completely agree with that in terms of heart currency.
Heart currency.
Paul said, helping to bring out the qualities to guide towards success.
Right.
Bringing out the qualities, uplifting, seeing their greatness, seeing their potential, and moving that forward. Absolutely. For myself, I feel that mentorship, the core thing through mentorship is listening. As Gary said, listening is so key. And I think sometimes it's difficult to listen because we have intentions and ideas of where we want to see that person go. And so instead of taking time and hearing where they're at, we're spending times and telling them, this is where I want you to go. I could see you doing this. I could see you doing this. And we get caught up in the excitement because we see their greatness, right? And I've been disappointed because of my own ego. I thought what I was doing was encouraging and helping. I'm doing this for you, but really I was doing it for myself. I was doing it for myself because I wanted to feel that we did this together, and yes, on to the next. And one of the most, I guess I shouldn't say disappointed, but at that time, that's how I felt, is when you put your all into it, and then the person turns around and doesn't really go in that direction, right? What is your thoughts in regards to personal bias when mentoring? Do you think that it affects the mentorship? I could do it popcorn style. Anyone could.
I'll jump in. For me, especially when I think about in the context of my community, the community that I work alongside, my community, it's tough because you're seeing youth that are like, you're quite literally seeing yourself in, if I see a young black man, I cannot see myself in a young black man, but I can see myself more in a young black Somali Muslim man, just because we know we have those similar cultural, religious backgrounds, in the sense that we probably lived a very similar we might have had a very similar upbringing. Um, you see, you see things in the news. You see the negative connotation that we have, just as a community, specifically males in that community, and the violence that's surrounding it, and the deficit-based language that is used when talking about us and as a community. That when you see youth who have the potential, when you see individuals who have that potential, you you don't want to see them going astray or following a path that you know is just not for them. But and for me, this is something that I've had to come to terms with and internalize is that when you're giving advice, you while you are doing it out of the kindness of your heart, like it's never gonna be unless that person internalizes the advice and the words that you provide to them, then it could always just fall onto deaf ears. And you have to come to terms with that being a situation or that being a scenario when you are providing mentorship, when you are providing advice. You could be coming at it from a place of goodwill and you wanting to see that individual reach heights that you probably didn't might not assume or believe that they can reach, but at the end of the day, the person themselves needs to internalize it. So, what this all comes down to, what that all boils down to for me, is the control, the amount of control that you have in that situation, and understanding that you have a certain level of control, but you're not in control of that. What you are in control of is the words that you use, the way you direct that kind of advice, the way you speak with that person. And what I'm gonna do the best thing that I'm gonna do is put my all into all the things that I can control. But whatever's not in my control, I'm going to leave it up. I'm going to say this is not within my hands, and I've tried my best to do what I possibly can. And that's kind of it's a hard thing to grasp. There's a lot of bias that is involved because I'm working with with younger youth, and I'm speaking with their parents, so I'm developing relationships with them. Or there's some that I'm not even seeing their parents, but they're telling me things that they're confiding in me in certain situations. So it's hard, but it's also one thing to just understand is that you don't have the ultimate control in how your advice will reach that person. So understanding where you give it up and where you kind of give it your all. So
Yes,
That's
100%.
amazing.
Right, and you said something in regards to words. I truly, truly believe how powerful words are, and words could either um, bring you life or it could bring you death. And I found through mentorship when I was younger, there was a little bit of a competition factor because I've experienced and I've seen difficult, challenging things in life. Um, I was using those examples just to let them know that I get it. I get where you're at. But then it came to a point where they wanted to prove that they've experienced worse than me. And that's dangerous because if you want to experience worse, then that could bring on death. So I had to take time to really reflect on my stories and what I shared and and how I navigated the conversations. Hmm.
That's
Thank
good.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, that was extremely, I love that point because we're talking about youth, right? We're talking about relatability. We're talking about um, meeting people where they're at.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, if I'm mentoring someone, I may not sound like or look like I grew up in like a bad place. And sometimes the people that I'm mentoring feel like that's what they look like or that's what they embody is the place they came from, right? So if I share a story of how I was homeless during high school, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I hear that. I didn't know you would," and now we're comparing struggles. This is what I'm talking about when we talk about like when I was saying before, how in the Black community, mentorship usually focuses on the redirection. We really try to focus a lot on the negative aspects and bringing them out of the negative mindsets, right? Which is really great, but I think we need to surpass this drastically. So, to answer your question, I sorry, what was your question again?
So the
No.
question was in terms
Yeah.
of, do you feel that
Yeah.
bias can
Oh,
sabotage
yes.
the mentorship?
Yes.
Hmm.
Thank you. Absolutely. So to answer that question, I do think it can sabotage the relationship.
Hmm.
I was reading through the comments and I loved what Paul's saying. Um, in my book, the reason why it's called Your Personal Success Formula is because I believe success is personal. I believe that everyone was designed for a purpose to execute their purpose, right? So when Paul says helping to bring out the qualities to guide towards success, I would only add personal success. And if that is your role as a mentor, then your job is only to empower what's already inside of them. A lot of times like John was saying, we would like to share with them, yo, you have a golden ticket and you just don't know it, right? Really focus on it. Please don't lose this. Please don't fail. Please don't. And we're putting a lot of pressure onto them to um, to accomplish dreams and goals that we've created for them that may not be their goals, only because we believe in them. It's not bad to believe in the people you're mentoring. What's damaging is when you take that belief and you create an image and you create an idol out of it and say, we both need to get you to that, instead of let me help you build up who you're supposed to be. Right. And when we approach it from that lens, there's no feeling of my emotions getting in the way of your growth, right?
Mhm.
When you can take yourself out of their progress and their process, at the end of the day, you can say everything you want to them. Some people will not listen, right? So at the end of the day, they're going to have to make the decisions for themselves, whether to listen to your advice or to not listen to your advice. Sometimes not listening to your advice may be the right choice, right? You don't know everything. No one knows everything. So but it ultimately lands on them to make those decisions. I don't think that our emotions, um, I think our emotions have a place in it, because when you feel someone's emotion towards you, you can feel they care, right? And that's an important aspect in mentorship as well. I just think there needs to be a balance of, I do care about you, and because of that, because of those feelings I have, because I've seen people in your situation go this route or go that route, I want to just make sure that I empower you with all the tools to become the person you want to be,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely. I
Yeah,
enjoy that. Thank you so much for that. Who else would like to chime in regards to that?
yeah, a
Others?
very good point. To add to that point, um, knowing your limits and not setting your expectations too high.
Mm.
There's limits to change. What I'm saying, you're not, the only change you really got control over is your own self. You may have the visions, you may have everything for this person, but if they're not seeing it, then, so your limits and your expectations, it has to be adjustable.
I wanted to step in, well, around that, Curtis. And I think one thing that we can do, and as a person who is coming from the perspective of a mentor, is really doing a lot of goal setting with the person that they are mentoring. Um, I think for us that helps mitigate those effects um, of wanting to, over exceeding expectations, or giving them a, like, assuming the most out of them when that's not their goals. I think when we can break down those larger goals into smaller steps, and we can help work towards those smaller goals and continuously build around that, that's when you can get a better understanding of the individual you're also mentoring as well. And then your advice can be around developing goals versus me saying, hey, I want you to do this, and that just wasn't an interest or a need for that full person. So that can help mitigate a lot of those unrealistic expectations that we might have, when we have an understanding of what the mutual expectation is out of the relationship.
Yes, that's key. Having an understanding of the mutual relationship, the expectations. Absolutely. John also said, let me just track back a little bit. We all have bias. However, if not conscious of it, bias definitely plays into our mentorship positively and negatively. Then he echoed back and said that we then create a notion of who gets more of our guidance, support, etc., and who does not. That, that, Judd, absolutely. And I am 100% a person who actually implemented that. I have to be fully honest. There was a time where I was very rigid with my youth. I was working with young men that were extremely hard to serve. And if I wasn't rigid, those individuals would eat my food. So I had to make sure I was rigid also. So in regards to help, when I started the help, there were those who were a lot of friction. I was like, okay, you're giving friction, but I can see we could work with that. And then there were others who were blatantly just disrespectful and saying, you work for me, you got to help me, you get paid to help me, you're outreach worker, you just all that. And because I was young-minded and not seasoned enough, I took it personal. I said, oh, I work for you. Let's see who's going to get help. And I intentionally did not help the ones which I knew in my brain and my heart that those are the ones that needed the help the most. Those ones. The ones that were giving friction and stuff, yeah, we were going back and forth, but I knew we were going to work something out. But the ones that were completely resistant, those are the ones that we have to get to. That's the most important. And they're the most challenging, and it's difficult. It's a very unpleasant journey. But if you're able to just plant one seed and they're able to say, you know what? All right, let me try this, then you have a winning situation. But it took time. It took time and maturity for me to let go some of that bias and ego. Gary, did you want to share anything?
Well, based on what you just said, in my career, my Black people, they came at me in a different angle.
Yeah.
Because they thought that I didn't go through a struggle when it was nothing but the struggle, right? I didn't go the conventional way. It was not easy, but that's what God intended for me to go, to be where I am today. But when I share my struggle or my past with them, they're like, oh, snap. When I start speaking their lingo, let them know I understand everything what you're saying. I didn't always have I didn't grow up with a golden spoon. I didn't have stuff given to me. It was never like that. And to meet them where they're at, before I want them to come where I am, gotta listen to them first. Hear their story. So then I can answer them in the proper way, not start with me. This is where I've been. No. I gotta hear what you said, then I can answer you in a proper way.
Yes.
I'll have my dispute, but I like to come with evidence. I'll show them factual evidence like, wow, dude, you went through that? Did you really go through that? Yeah. And I said, yeah, I'm a dad now. I'm a father. Want to find by my son? Go on Amazon. He got a book on Amazon. I tell people, be careful what you say to your children, because that's what they become. I had to fight through some of that.
Yes.
Because our words bring power.
Yes, they do.
Right? We can suppress. Coming from a Caribbean background, I'm going to call everybody, Jamaicans, whatever, Caribbean people. We talk the old talk. We can't do things the same way as it was done back then. I've been saying history's already made. Let's create new history. It's for us to make new history, not forgetting what was done in the past, but doing things differently, because the youth today are not facing things like we faced back in the day. It's actually more rapid. So we have to be that block to say, hey, try and slow down a little bit. We don't want you to get into that pit hole. Live fast, die young, make a pretty corpse. That was my grandma's favorite saying. You know? So I'll bring a little bit of grandma's teachings into my now that's brought me this far, that will help the youth of today. So that's where I'm at.
Absolutely. I want to bring something into this conversation. So with mentorship, with supporting, with guiding, there's a system that's usually embedded, and it's called the stages of change. So the stages of change starts with pre-contemplation. So you have pre-contemplation where you meet someone, a young person, and they're not sure yet, and you're just trying to get them to pre-contemplate a positive outcome You meet with them another time, and now they're going into contemplation, saying, you know what, Gary? Yeah, man, I like what you said last time. And then they move into preparation. They're like, Hamdi, you know what? I think I really want to apply for that job. And then they go see Jama and they're like, okay, you know what? I got my resume, so now that's action. They're into action to get their resume done. And then they apply, they get the job, and they're into maintenance. And then while they're going to the job, it's going really good. But then you might get some bad news and they'll show up to your office and say, yeah, man, I quit the job because, I don't like the way they were treating me there. When you're mentoring, would you be frustrated if you only reach to contemplation and you can't get that person you're mentoring to go into preparation? Does that frustrate you? And what would be the tools you would use to get them to get to preparation? Because the pre-contemplation and the contemplation are somewhat the easy. It's getting them into prep mode. Have you faced that
I
struggle? What do you do?
Yeah, I was gonna say I face it a lot with especially the boys in our in our programming because you, it seems that and this hasn't changed, like, and I think of I always try to reflect back onto myself as a like I'm still a young man, but like as a child, you know what I mean, like in my
Yeah,
in high
yeah.
school and middle school, stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
if things didn't look cool to you, you do not want to engage. So for us, it's something that I still struggle with to this day, where our programming is predominantly like from last year to this year, we were able to double our numbers in male youth who have joined our program,
Mhm.
but it still never reached the target numbers that we would have wanted to have.
Right.
Where it's a matter of, and sometimes I think about it is like we as younger men. So when I'm thinking about us in our preteen, early young adults, we sometimes have a herd like mentality where we're only doing something if my boys are doing something, and my boys are only doing something if I do something. And for me, that is where we kind of struggle to get through that pre-contemplation stage to the action stage. So what I've been trying to do and what I've been trying to wrap my head around is like, okay, how can I not use this? I say herd mentality, but how can I use this, like, how can I use that to my advantage? How can I say, like, if my boys are doing it, I'm gonna do it, but if my boys are not doing it, I'm not doing it? How can I use that to my advantage? And how can I get them, how can I access them as a collective and
Mm.
then separate them as individuals versus trying to catch them as individuals and try to bring them in as collective? So, um, one of the things that we do, and one of the ways that I encourage youth within our teams or within our programming, is we ask them to work on like a community type project, where you try to pick a issue or you pick some creative outlet, or if you have like a business idea, whatever it might be, come together as a group and let's workshop this project together. And for us, that is one of our forms of mentoring, where we're going to help you go through this aspect of like developing kind of like um, a work plan, developing an application, how you're going to apply for grants, stuff like that. Where that's essentially where one of our aims of our program is, to teach them how to develop a program like that. Um, but for me, it's like with our Black female youth, they're so passionate about doing this, doing that, and like I don't have to push anyone to do anything. If anything, they're pushing me to kind of keep up with them, right? With our boys, I'm trying my best to encourage them to go, but I'm also just like, let me encourage you as a gang, like you as a team, to do this together, not
Yeah.
just you individually. You do this, you do that, and then they find within themselves that what things they're able to come up with, but they're also exploring some of their passions together as a group, and from there, they start getting the understandings of, this is something I like more, this is something that I enjoy more, things like that. So it's always a struggle for me personally. And I think, John, you also mentioned it as well, just like with the different type of youth that you're interacting with. Some youth will need they need a stronger, firmer relationship. Some youth they need a lot more gentler approach. Some of them do not like to see a corny mentor. Some of them will react positively to that.
Yes.
And it's a matter of figuring out which type of person you kind of need to be for them in that moment. I personally struggle a lot with the firmer kind of approach but we have other mentors within our team where that's their expertise, but with the cornier, gentler side, that's kind of where I come in. I'm cracking jokes. I'm trying my best. That's how I reach out to them, you know? Um, so it's just a matter of finding your way into them and like finding your way into their group and finding a way to like infiltrate in a positive way. You know what I mean? Infiltrate themselves in a positive way and understand that I'm genuinely here for you, right? But we also try our best to just kind of reinforce. And one of the things that helps us a lot is when we talk about where this program started from, where it's at right now,
Yeah.
and how you have access to a program, like essentially wanting to reassert them of the opportunity that they have and why they are here, right? You're joining this stuff, you're joining these type of programming using your free time, right? This is you're coming out of your way to take part in this.
Yes.
Don't just let it go to waste, right? One of the biggest things that we want is to create a community amongst them. And if at the very least you're gaining from this community and you're creating a space within this community, amazing. But let that not be the only thing that you leave out of this, right? Let there be more, gain as much as you possibly can. Use the opportunity.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much. And I like the method in terms of infiltrating the circle, because it's you have a group of friends and they have similarities, likes, interests, all that kind of stuff. And how do you embed yourself into that space and find what all their passions and needs, all that is, and then approach them collectively, because that's how they move. That's genius. I actually like that. Paul said, are the programs using male and cultural-centric approaches to better engage Black boys? That's a fantastic question, because sometimes we have programs, but do our programs cater to some of the cultural pieces that are needed? Sometimes, you hear, okay, this program is specifically for Black boys, but the only cultural piece is like beef patties and basketball. We're touching the surface. We're not digging a little bit deeper to talk about some of the ancestry and cultural stuff. The heavy stuff that they probably don't want to listen to, but you need to share some of those moments. John said, yes, it frustrates me to the point where I feel that I have failed in mentoring youth, questioning my ability to connect and to shift the youth from pre-contemplate to action. However, of lately, I approach my mentoring as not every youth is ready for change and empowerment at the time, but let them know I am here when they are ready. That, John, absolutely. It took me almost 20 years to come to that realization. To just say, you know what? I want this for you, and I think I know what you want, but if you're not ready, it's okay. It's actually okay. And when you are ready, my door over there, it's always open. And that's like the whole creating a tool belt. So I found that working with my young people, I had to create this kind of invisible tool belt. So this tool here is for you to find employment. This tool here is for you to help navigate trouble situations in the street. This here is for you to navigate through school. Here's all the tools. Here, I'm going to give this to you and go use them. And if there ever comes a situation where one of those tools you forget, you're just like, oh man, John told me how to navigate hard situations here when it comes to like aggression and stuff I don't remember. Come back to my office and say, yo, John, what was that tool again? I say, yeah, sure. I got more in the bag. I'll give you a tool and go about your business.
I like that.
Right? Because I found that I was enabling a lot of my young men a lot. I was doing the work for them. They get into situations, I'm calling in other people to mediate. I'm going to schools, I'm doing stuff, and it wasn't allowing them to do the troubleshooting.
Yeah.
They could just sit back and be like, John will take care of this crap. So it was important to, as we said before, empower them, to empower them
Mhm.
and provide them with the ability to thrive and to survive. I had Latoya. Latoya said, how do we as parents help our young adults to find quality mentors that can help with life and career directions? Most programs I've come across are for youth. That is
Mhm.
what's interesting about that, Latoya, is that youth now falls into the category of age
10 to 30.
all the way to 30.
Mhm.
Up to 30, that is youth. So programs have been stretched through government standards, have been stretched all the way up to 30. And there are opportunities for those who are mature adults to be in that space. And someone said, hi, I was wondering if the guests are able to speak verbally. What is if you could just
I think
explain
They
what
mean
I
like
think
outside
I
of the
think they might want to
panelists.
ask. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think, based on my knowledge of WebEx, that you have the option to turn on, and because of this feature, the webinar feature that we're using, I don't think you have the opportunity
Oh,
to
right.
turn on and off your volume, your voice.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, not with this option. You'd have to, yeah, it's a lot of typing. You could speak it into your cell phone. Sorry.
I guess,
Um,
John, to your question, in terms of, getting to that point of anger or frustration when things is not going the way you sort of expected, bring us back to the point of expectation, and again, accepting that there's going to be things that you cannot change.
Mm,
As much as you can push, you can, have the vision, the insight, or whatever it is, but you got to find that equilibrium, that balance in terms of realizing that, okay, you know what, there's things you might be able to change, and then there are things you may not be able to change in terms of one's perspective, how they see themselves. Are they sharing the same vision, the same goal, the same insight? Do they have the same thirst and hunger? I think what Jama mentioned in terms of goal setting, is that part of their goals? Is that something that they want to achieve that's the same, and really want to be able to put in the work that is going to bring out the results that both of you is actually looking for as part of that goal setting?
mm, absolutely. Yeah, Curtis, I agree with that.
you mind if I would love to answer this question.
Please.
I agree with John Telfer in his answer. I felt like at a young age, because of the way we grew up, I didn't feel like my time was. I was a very cocky kid. Um, but then I learned to use that, to my benefit. But I learned like time is fleeting. Like I really felt like I don't have time to waste. So and I think before that was just like I really thought so highly of myself. Now it's more so if something is not working right now, exactly what you were saying, John, it really might not be, maybe I'm not the mentor for you, right? Maybe it is more like John, or maybe it is Gary. Maybe the way I'm communicating this to you is not getting through you. And it's going to be maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years down, maybe a few hours, and you're gonna bump into someone else and they're gonna say the exact same thing I said in a different way, and it's gonna connect. Right. So I always tried again, just like try um to remove yourself as much as possible from the savior. Like I think when I started to understand, especially my work in success support, I take on responsibility for some of the people that I work with, their growth. Like I take it on for myself. Like if they progress, I progressed. Like that's what I truly felt, right? I had to get to a point where I was saying, okay, I can only do so much. I know you have that tool belt. I know that you know what to do. You're going to either choose to do it or you're not going to choose to do it. Um, and maybe it's the way I'm coming across. Maybe it's the way I'm saying it. Maybe you just don't like me. And for whatever reason, that's fine. But I need you to find the support you need, right? Just encouraging them to get support from wherever. There's been many times where I am having a conversation with someone, and I can see it's not resonating, and I say, hey, honestly, if this is not working out, I just really, really encourage you to find someone else that you can speak to, that you can share this with, that you can grow with. Something that I've seen worked on my end on the other side is I call it like researching the program, also known as listening. There was like this client I was having, and he came in with his parents, and they are like really, really successful individuals. And they're like, basically, our son isn't where we want him to be. And he was like, I really see no value in mentorship at all. And I had to now pitch and prove myself to the young man in front of his parents that I'm the right mentor for him. In my head, I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm the right mentor for you. I can, as Gary said, I can be authentically myself. And if this is something you connect with, then hopefully, we can move forward. The young guy, he was struggling with motivation. When he's not motivated, he loses the intentionality in certain tasks, especially with like schoolwork and stuff. So I asked him like what he does like to do. And obviously one of the things he says is sports. So I say, okay, if you focus really hard on English and you get a great mark, I will connect you to a CFL player I know. And now motivation is up, right? Now the entire program has changed from what it was written down on a page once to I'm going to make sure that this kid understands the motivation he wants is right around the corner. Like it's right there. It's always right there. And as he grows and as he changes and as his passions change, I'll find something else. Okay, what else motivates you? And then I'm going to teach him how to find that motivation for himself, right? And find those opportunities. If I want something, maybe it is around the corner for me. And now he has the ability and the confidence to look around the corner himself. You understand what I'm saying? I think that's really helped me kind of, change the perspective for some of the young people.
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely valid. Gary, you're going to say something, and after Gary says something, I'm going to go to what Paul's saying because it's really valuable.
Yeah, what Lincoln really hit the nail on the head there, big time. It's about listening again and giving them that carrot, dangling that carrot, saying you can have this. To plug that, give them that fuel to chase after that dream, not give up after that dream, and believe in them. Always believe in them and encourage them. Don't discourage them because it's going to go a long way. And Brother Johnson, Joseph, I love this young man's spirit. He makes me hungry, hungry, hungry. It's like, let me at him. Invite me in. I want to come and speak. That's my hunger. I've been hungry, not for food. As I said to John, it's time. This is the set time. It's 2025. There's no more waiting. We got to go full blast. I mean, I'm just looking at this panel now. There is so much here. So much here. Unstoppable. There's no reason we should give up.
No.
Not now. There's so many different angles, so many different tools. Oh, you want to write a book? We got it. We got an author in the house. We got the proof in the pudding, as the world wants to call it. We got young men here who could be the game changers, the world changers. There's places where they'll listen to you and they won't listen to me. But if I walk in with you, then they're going to listen to me. Because I'm willing to hang with the young bucks and meet them where they're at. I'm willing to come with my hat. I'm willing to break dance. I'm willing to do what I got to do. I'll do spoken word poetry. I'll meet them where they're at. It's about letting them know that, listen, man, I may be of age, but age is just a number. We got to show that we still got it going on. That's how we got to do what we got to do.
Collectively.
Collectively. Remember what I said, John?
Yes.
Unity in a community brings opportunity. Okay?
Yeah.
Hard work is necessary, but hard work is mandatory. And that's what makes us extraordinary. That's where it's at.
I love it. I love that. Absolutely. Greg I was about to laugh because Greg's like, I'm hungry. I want to speak verbally. So I think there might be a possibility to open your mic. If that happens, that would be really cool. Let me
Yeah, I
just
think
get.
I got it.
Okay, let me just get back to Paul before we go. So Paul said 16 to 30 is a large development gap, right? And between myself and Curtis, we've spoke to Paul about the rites of passage that acknowledge the journey from boyhood to manhood. It is so important to create a program that shows a graduation from your young boyhood into manhood to show your independence, responsibility, to carry those valuable moments. Absolutely. So yes, are we able to open the mic for Greg?
Hi, hello.
Hey,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't think we can do it, but we can.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm hearing what everyone is saying, and it's good to see the brothers here, and we're definitely here for a great cause
Yes.
because there is a great need of what's happening in the world in the city of Toronto, as we all see and hear and know what's going on. From my own opinion and my experience, I think it's important. As you know, I don't even have Facebook, but I came across this event, and I thought I would click on it, and I wanted to get home from work to say a few words because I see what's going on in the community. We all see what's going on.
Yes.
I find that a lot of the young youth right now, especially the young Black man, I was in that scenario myself, growing up with no father figure. And I find a lot of times that the young Black men don't have a father present growing up. And I'm not going to blame that on that situation because there are great mothers out there that raise young Black men to be great and strong Black men.
Absolutely.
You know, I was young, got myself in some trouble over the years growing up, in and out of jail. And growing up now as a 45-year-old, I find that a lot of these young kids, they like to, if you can't relate to them, they sometimes don't want to hear you. If they don't know that if it's sometimes I see that. And that's why when I explained to them that I was locked up for 3 years behind bars, I was looking at 25 years for a crime I had nothing to do with. Then they kind of start to relate. And as my man Lincoln said earlier, sometimes they want to start comparing struggles.
Yes.
And start saying, hey, well, this and that. And it's not about that. We need to, what I believe right now, we need to have more panels like this. We need to invite and bring the young Black man into our arms, because I'm telling you right now, it's destruction ahead. If we don't save our young brothers and sisters, it is destruction ahead. I've seen behind those walls that they have not seen. I don't know if any brothers here been locked up, but behind those walls is hell. I was arrested for a crime I had nothing to do with. The police took me and threw me in handcuffs. When I asked them what I was here for, they beat me from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. I was in a cell in my underwear. And it was so cold. January 24th, 2009. I was so cold in that division, they took my clothes from me and they put it at the front of the door. And when they walked in, they used it as their foot to wipe their feet off. They then beat me so bad that the blood was stuck on my face. They brought me to the washroom to wash the blood off with my hands handcuffed. And these are things that the young Black youth does not see, and that's happening to them right now. But you don't see that, but I know that. There were no cameras in that holding cell. They then beat me and brought me downstairs and put me in front of a TV and forced me to say something that I didn't want to even say. And as I looked to my right, there was two detectives. One was falling asleep. And as he was falling asleep, he was so tired from beating me that as he was falling asleep, I tried to look at the camera on the TV and shake my head and say no, so that would play on the video. And he caught me. When he realized, he lunged off his chair and grabbed me by my throat and started choking me. And these are the things that the young Black man is going through right now.
Yes.
And we need to save them. I'm telling you, we need to save them. We need to help them. We need to put more functions like this together. We need to get them in. They're going the wrong way. They need guidance. They need direction.
Yes, I agree with you.
They really do. You see every day what's going on in the news, 16, 18-year-olds, and all this is happening. They're going to change the laws soon to keep our young brothers behind these bars. And our young brothers don't seem to understand that they're going the wrong way because they don't have the right guidance.
No, that's right. That's
right. So I appreciate all of us here tonight and what you guys are doing. I think it's extraordinary to see us here tonight and what everyone is doing. But we need to do more. I'm willing to do more. I'm willing to speak up more. I'm willing to help more. Any way I can help, anything I can do. Those jail cells is horrible. And it's no place for our young brothers and our young sisters who I've seen in there.
No.
They take away your dignity. You could be in that cell and all of a sudden there's a search up. You didn't do anything wrong, but there's a search. I don't know if you've been to jail, but there's a search now. All of a sudden at 6 a.m., these guards fly in. 20, 30 guards. You don't even know because somebody was caught smoking. They found weed or a weapon. Now you're involved in it. You're not going to strip down naked in front of these men. Spread your butt cheeks while they make comments and joke. And they're taking our dignity. They couldn't take mine because I'm too strong for that. But some of these young brothers are taking their dignity from them.
And just the trauma from that.
The trauma from that, my friend.
Can I ask you so what was your healing journey? How did you heal from that?
I healed from that by the grace of the living God.
Amen to that.
If it wasn't for God, I would not be the man who I am today.
Right.
It's not because of my own strength. It's not because of anything I've done wrong. Even when I was being beat by those cops, I said, God, I know you got me. I served over 2 years I was locked up for. The video surveillance that showed me that I was at home with my children, the officers held it. They held it.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't give it up to my lawyer until the judge said at trial, if I don't see the video, it's going to be crucial to the Crown's case. That's when the case got thrown out. It was hard, but I know what? It made me a better and stronger man.
I know you are, and I could hear it.
Right? And if I had to go through that and other things to come and help my brother in 2024, so be it. They found the right one.
Wow. Wow, you're amazing.
They found the right one.
You're amazing.
Oh, yeah. I applaud you, man. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
You're very welcome, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for having me. And we just got to keep doing all that we can and saving, being a mentor, a positive influence, because a lot of these young brothers and sisters, they don't have a positive influence of people around them.
Yes.
They have the wrong people guiding them. They're not listening to mom and dad, even though mom and dad is trying sometimes.
Even though they're trying.
Even though they're trying.
Yeah.
And they come from good homes sometimes.
Yes.
They sometimes want that fast money or that someone on the streets. These brothers are not influencing them correctly and on the right path.
Right.
Excuse me for a minute.
Please.
Is this brother Craig that I met a few weeks ago at the Ken House?
Ken House? I don't think so.
Do you do poetry?
Yes, I do.
Come on. G drops.
I do poetry. I'm a spoken word artist.
Yeah, we were together a few weeks ago at Ken House Church, Pastor Aaron.
Ken House Church? At
Do you remember Aaron Kerr?
Ken House Church on Blackthorn?
Okay, so do you remember Pastor Aaron Kerr?
Oh my gosh, I know Pastor Aaron Kerr. What location?
It was near Yorkdale Mall. Okay, you passed through, we had a mixer. And you sound like the same guy, Craig Henry, possibly. Is your last name Henry?
No, it's Buckle.
Okay, you're not the same guy. Well, you sound just like this man who went through the same kind of struggle. The same kind of struggle.
Mhm.
So it's ironic that you up here, man. This is how serious this thing is. Wow.
Connectivity, right?
Mhm.
That is just
That
amazing.
there it goes. Unity in the community brings opportunity.
Brings
Mhm.
opportunity.
It's real.
And I
Real, man.
appreciate,
It's real. I might not be the guy, but you know, we got to make a difference, man. We gotta help one another because I've seen things and I know what's going on behind those closed doors. Those
yes,
officers are not all that they seem to be.
yes,
I've seen it. I've felt it. I have the scars to prove it.
yes.
I hear your pain, bro.
Up until today, my teeth, my top right teeth is still knocked out.
Mm.
It's still knocked out. They beat me so bad that I had to, when I went on medical range at the Don jail, every time I heard keys coming, I would have to jump up because whenever they were coming to beat me, I heard the keys. So I was going to come out of there and do some very bad things. But I said, you know what? I'm going to be bigger and better than you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go do what you don't want me to do.
That's right.
And no one may know this, but I do my best on a daily basis. Because
Yes.
there's a saying that goes, you might not be able to change the whole world, but you can change the whole world for one person.
Absolutely. Yes,
So
you
I
can.
try, and you brothers are amazing to be here tonight, to
Thank
put
you.
your time, to do something like this. Even the guests who are here, truly amazing, and I commend you guys for that. And I pray we get together even more and do more for our youth that is in serious danger.
Please, we will. We absolutely will. You
Definitely.
started the momentum. Thank you.
Thank you too, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, gents, where do I go from there? That's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
That's heavy stuff. And I appreciate all of it
Real talk. It's real talk.
because
That's what we need.
Craig decided to
Mm.
be extremely vulnerable and share his trauma and journey with us. And that is something that I truly value and respect. And when I heard that, I felt it. And what I feel is that the urgency to respond. With every action, there's a reaction. And we really need to address some of these issues because as of recently, as I was saying before, we're seeing a pretty extensive list of young people who are displaced. They are not where they're supposed to be. I don't want to say missing because not all of them are missing, right? Missing is when you wake up in the morning and your child has or your teen has been there every day, then all of a sudden they're not, and you're like, where did they go, right? That's not the case for all. So we do have a handful of some young people that are connected possibly to things that are happening in the streets, possibly within their home dynamic, which they're going through emotional stuff. It's a collage of different issues why these young Black males are not at home. So for mentoring young people in these spaces, how do we reach out to individuals who are displaced like that? Because I feel there's ways of contacting them, even though you don't know where they are. I feel there's ways of sending information out there and being able to invite them to have conversations. Because we got access to these things, right? We got access to these things, and I'm sure there's an opportunity where you could, I don't know, send a message or go to wherever it is to IG, name it, whatever it is, to have a conversation to find out, where are you at? What's up? Because
I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
right?
Oh,
Go ahead,
sorry.
please.
Go ahead, Jabba.
No, go ahead, Lincoln, please.
So I have a friend of mine who is currently not where he knows he should be. And the truth of the matter is, I think this may be different. Like I know there's a variety of different reasons why these Black boys are not where they should be. My friend in particular he got into the wrong crowd, and then he left home very young. I believe he's like 15, 15, 14. And what we made sure to do is consistently share with him and those around him that there's refuge, that we do have a space. And we're constantly building space and tools and resources for the time he does come back, and making sure that we're prepared and we have opportunities and that prodigal son type of, return. Like that's what we're trying to make sure that we're prepared for. I think a lot of times with a few other of my friends that have gone through kind of the same situation, it's been really hard, because there is I want to say there's a lack of understanding.
Mhm.
I think people feel misunderstood. I
Mhm.
think when people feel misunderstood, they go to where they're understood. And if they can find somewhere where they're understood, then they'll find refuge there, right?
Absolutely.
So the least we can do on the other side of the mentor side, the homes of where they should be, is make sure that home is clean, make sure that the room is ready, make sure that meals are hot, right? In the metaphorical sense, but also literally. Make sure that we're ready for them to come back. That's, I think, what I have been going through the last few months, and I think it's pretty relevant.
I enjoy what you said in terms of they felt misunderstood. And when you're misunderstood, you go to a place where you're understood. That is extremely powerful. And thank you for sharing that. Hemdi, we should go to some questions, huh? Yeah, let's do that. I would
Yes,
love to,
yes.
I would love to open up the panel or to guests to ask questions. I could respond to them in the chat. You could write them there. I'm assuming we could open up mic also. So please, let's get some
I'll,
questions there.
I'll open up mics and maybe we can raise our hands and go by one by one.
Yeah, let's do that, please. I'm actually writing down what Lincoln said about the misunderstood. That's good stuff.
Do you have a direct question, or is it just we can ask?
Oh, no, you could ask a question, Deshaun.
So I came in a little bit late, so my apologies, but very inspirational just to hear everybody congregating and talking with in fellowship with no ego, no pride. And this is what I try and show the younger youth, but I think they're not mature enough at times, but they respect it, even if they don't, because they don't know how to adjust to it, right? You just got to keep doing it until they kind of have a breakthrough. So, I think working collectively with our people, it kind of brings back like independence, like when we had like segregation and these things. I think that was a really smart thing to take us out of segregation because I realized we still get treated the same way, but our money gets diverted now, right? And I think now that our money gets diverted, it's hard for us to have the unity when we're not really putting everything together to work like how other groups do, right? So on an economical scale, I feel like we're just losing, and even though kids are hearing it, they don't see the solution. It just, feels like they don't believe what they're hearing, I guess you could say. Sometimes, even though they know it's real, it's hard for them to believe it without seeing tangibles and ways for us to win that's outside of music and entertainment and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely, Deshaun. Yes, it's important for us to display some form of unity, community building, growth, may it be financially, spiritually, all of the above, everything that focuses on the social determinants of health, that is what they need to see. Some of them see it depending on their environment and where they're being focused on. And then there's some that just do not. Someone shared a question here. Are there services for Black youth who are identified as being on ASD spectrum? That is challenging, right? Because that would fall into a specialized type of program. And usually when you have youth that fall into ADD, ASD, FAS, it's usually one-to-one. There's a lot of CBT work, cognitive behavioral therapy work that's involved with that particular type of young person. So in a group setting, it can present some challenges, because sometimes, for instance, if you have a young person who is diagnosed with one of those symptoms, having a large group or even having a medium group becomes very overwhelming. So it doesn't really happen a lot. Some schools have SNAP programs to assess. As Tasia said, yes, there are some school programs that have the SNAP program. And also, there's an organization, Resources for Exceptional Youth and Children, that also have resources to support Black children that are on the spectrum. I have a hand risen from, is that Nigel?
Hey everyone, just once again, thankful to be here and to be in this space and to be having this conversation. My question is, what is your opinion, and this is to all the panelists, what is your opinion as far as it goes for what does mentorship continuum mean to you? Mentorship continuum, what does that mean to you?
That's good. Mentorship continuum to myself. I had to redefine that over the years because my mentorship a long time ago used to be me and a young person, and we worked this thing out. If it took 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, we're going to do this. But as you can tell how gray I am, that wasn't the best method for me to use. That stressed me out. So I decided now to do the tool belt, and the tool belt kind of cuts away a little bit of too much interaction with me and the young person. It creates just a moment. We plan, we give a tool belt, they go out, they try to navigate, they come back when they need support. So that's what the continuum looks like for me at this moment. Feel free, anyone else.
Can you elaborate just a little bit on the tool belt concept, please?
Yes, absolutely. So what I was saying before in terms of the tool belt is creating all these different supports that together you plan and you feel that they need, or they feel that they need. So for instance, a young person's with you and they say, yo, man, I can't find work, or when I find work, I don't really agree with people when I'm there. I need money. So we create this tool belt. So this is how to develop your resume. This is how to look for a job that kind of fits within your needs. And this is how you're going to save money. And you give them that tool belt and they go out and they try to apply it. And they'll go out, they'll give it a try. And the first try sometimes doesn't go over very well. They'll come back and say, yo, man, I tried to apply, no one's answering. Then you say, well, have you tried this? And they will go back, they'll try to be like, yo, I got to call back, maybe. And you keep on giving them the ability, the autonomy to kind of make decisions on their own instead of doing it for them.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Nigel, I think, yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I'm I'm still kind of developing mine. Like I don't know if like in the same way that John is able to kind of like metaphorize it into like a tool, but I don't know if I'm there yet. And I feel like it's still kind of developing and it's still growing. But I think for me, like it's really just my approach. Like I think I like to approach things with a lot of optimism, with a lot of I'm a very I like to say I'm a very unserious person most of the time, but when I turn on that seriousness, then people understand that my seriousness is actually to be taken. Like I'm flipping the switch. Like I'm taking things much seriously right now because I think it's always important to keep things as lighthearted as possible, especially if that gravity of seriousness is not necessary in that situation. For me, that's like if there's a direction of content mentoring that I can discuss, that's how I approach mine. But I also still think I'm building it out, and I think it's been a few years for me of being in this role. But as I progress in my life and as I progress through my professional career, my community career, like whatever it might be, like I need to, it'll still be evolving. So I appreciate you for asking it because it allows me the opportunity to reflect and think about how am I trying to build that out for myself.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
that. It sounds to me like you're saying one of your priorities is creating a safe space.
Well said.
Absolutely. We
Wow.
talk a lot about third spaces for youth. They have their homes, a lot of them, it's school, it's whatever it might be. I want like the community that we build in our programming is we want that to be a very safe third space for them, a space that they can just drop in and stuff like that. So trying to embody that in my day-to-day and personally. Sorry, Lincoln.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
that was great.
Yeah, I would say that, safe spaces have to be created by safe people, right? That's the most important thing. And Paul said something. I knew Paul was going to ask this question. Do mentors have elders that they turn to for guidance?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's extremely important for mentors to have people they turn to, or else you fall victim to feeling as though you have all the answers. There's always someone that knows more, always, right? Until you meet God, there's always someone that has more. So continuously learning and being in a humble spirit is very, very important, I think, for mentorship, both the mentor and the mentee.
Well said. You got to remain connected to a source. There must be a source that you can actually tap into. Else you're going to run dry, and you're going to reach to a point where you basically cannot give what you don't have. So you must remain connected to a source, and that source is providing you that you can provide to. It's like upstream and downstream. Yeah. So that continuous flow. Yeah.
Okay. I see a hand up from Samantha, then I'm going to get to the question that John said.
Yes, good night. I wanted to ask the question. I know when Jamal was speaking, and honestly, he spoke very well in regards to the youth, because I have an 18-year-old son, and definitely his friends are his influence.
Right.
And when you indicate earlier, Mr. John, that it says infiltrate the circle of their friends.
Right.
What do you mean by that? Because as I said, if anything needs to be done, I always encourage him to be an individual. Don't be a follower. But I know in life you have to follow sometimes. You can't always be a leader. So following and being with his friends, seems to be at this age is the most important thing. And I so far, praise God, all the friends have been great friends. They have been doing great things. But I just want to know as a mom how I can encourage that, because I don't want to discourage him, but I also want him to also find his own, self, like,
Beautiful question, Samantha. Thank you so much for that. And what I meant by that when I was echoing Jama in terms of infiltrating the circle is when you know that they have a circle of friends, invite them into your space and have conversations with them. It's amazing some of the things that you end up hearing in terms of their interests, what they want to do, how there's similarities, how there's not similarities. But it's really important to sit amongst them and to listen. I think sometimes if we do invite them into our space and we hear things that kind of upset our spirit a little bit, like that's what you want to do, that could be a deterrent. But I think one of the most important things is listening, gathering that information, and then thinking to yourself, how do I want to take this approach next? because there's going to be another opportunity to sit amongst them. Because once you create that space where they know that they can share and you're listening, they'll come back. They'll come back. They don't
I
see
think,
that often.
yeah. One thing I wanted to touch on too is Samantha, you mentioned that your son has a great friend group that that's surrounding him. Excuse me. I feel like that's a blessing in and of itself that not a lot of youth have access to. One thing that I like to echo to my youth that I work with is leadership. Like, to be a good leader, you also know when to be a great follower as well. And being a great leader, you have to understand when it is that you're taking those steps behind someone, and when it is that you need to be outspoken, and when it is you need to say your piece. So I think having that space and having that community that he's built is already a blessing in and of itself. But as John mentioned, like bringing them in and then encouraging your son to not be the one to, maybe next time it's I'm going to be the one who's going to determine what we do next. I'm going to be the one putting the plans in the group chat. I'm going to be the one saying, yo, let's pull up to this thing. Let's do it together as a group. Let's all benefit from it together. It's like, it's strategizing, right? It's really figuring out like, how can I approach this in a different way? When I say infiltrate the group, just the same way as John said, like, it's really just like, they have a shared interest. That's why they're all connected with each other. And for you, it's like, you're connecting with all of them to make sure that obviously ultimately I know your biggest concern is your son, but you having those great youth around him as well, you want to see them succeed as well, right? So just encouraging them as a group will ultimately be encouraging your son too. So you could look at it in a very selfish kind of way, like I just want to make sure my son is succeeding, but as a result of your son succeeding, you'll have those other individuals succeeding as well. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely welcome. The question from John. My question is, how do we help parents shift their parenting to better understand youth? As Lincoln said, if one is not understood, they will go where they are understood. Valid. Some parents can be stuck in their old and traditional way of parenting. Not to say traditional parenting is not effective, but there should be balance. And I think from all of us sharing, we did say there are some cultural pieces, especially from our elders, that could be a little bit rigid, right? That's not very flexible. And how do we share with parents in regards to some of the new approaches that are needed? Because some of the old school approaches that can be somewhat abrupt, can cause someone to leave the home and not communicate. So what are your thoughts in regards to that? And then we can go to, I believe it's Vernon.
Can I say something quickly before we go?
Yes, please.
Miss Samantha, I really commend her because she is seeking for help. I'm not saying other parents don't seek, but she's going not the conventional way, right? Listening to her voice, she's mature, but she is a desperate mother seeking a new avenue, and that's reaching to this panel. I didn't know if there's panels back in the day. All I know is about now, and so for her to reach out, that's encouraging right there. That as long as we continue to do this, there will be that shift.
Yeah.
And youth will be saved. As long as we continue to do this, and moms, fathers, reach out and just put down the old gamut, the old weapon, and pick up something new and go in the right direction. And listening to you, like these guys are young men here who want to be the change. And this is what we want. This is what we need. Not what we want, this is what we need. As long as they see these young faces and then some salt and pepper, we'll be all right going forward. Isn't that right, Mr. Lincoln?
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I did want to say something about Samantha too. I want to answer John's question. But to Samantha, I was exactly going to say exactly what John said in terms of bring them in, like friend group into your house and make them supported. But praise begets praise. Like when you praise something, you give something positive reinforcement, it tends to come back, right? You tend to want to continue that cycle. So when they are over, make sure that you're praising not just your son, but as John was saying, the entire group, making sure there's pizza there, making sure that your house is the cool house to come to, because then you are not only are you going to hear things that you wouldn't have heard in other houses or other rooms, but you're going to be able to influence things. You're going to be able to have a voice eventually and say, hey, do you guys want to go here? Instead of doing what you're doing, we have $50. You guys can go to the movies, or you know what I mean? Like, make yourself a resource for your son and his friends. And I can guarantee you your spot will now become the place where they want to be instead of they get to be. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. I see John. John, did you want to say something? Because I know that you're active on the screen there. And I have, oh no, John came off. There was Latoya. I don't know if I see any more hands here. I just said big up Salt and Pepper.
Can I answer John's question too?
Please.
Real quick?
Yes.
How do we help parents shift their parenting to better understand you? I think you have to shift their perspective. A lot of times, what I've seen is that parents are really upset. They're very emotional. They're very desperate when your child is in a bad place, right? When they're not doing what they're supposed to do. There's emotion, there's care, there's intention. But before that happens, is that emotion, is that care, is that attention still there, right? So making sure that you're being proactive and shifting their perspective from, instead of waiting for something bad to happen, or if something bad is happening, instead of like, this is what I used to do, say, okay, what would you like? I know that the old Caribbean lifestyle, like my parents were both Caribbeans, right? So are both Caribbean. So there's rarely things you can say that they're going to be like, oh yes, thank you, I'm going to listen to my child, right? That's not usually something that happens. But if you can change your perspective and say, I want to be someone that listens now, I don't have to be begging for them to listen to me in a few years when they've decided to go somewhere where they're understood. Does that make sense? So making sure that you have the ability to say, okay, let me shift my perspective from now. Let me act as though they're already being attacked by a whole bunch of different, never mind like people, demonic presences. People are trying to take their identities, trying to change them, whatever, try to influence them. Instead of waiting for all that to happen, start changing your perspective now. Before that happens, before I have to now beg for them, I want to show them how much they're important to me now. I want to be like Samantha. I want to bring them to the house. I want to make sure that they're safe and they're comfortable, right?
Yes.
I love what John said. I had to write that down, but I forgot. You said safe spaces require safe people?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's what I would say.
100%. And I think sometimes we hang on to some of the Caribbean sayings in terms of who can't hear must feel. And we have to be mindful of that, because how much of the feel do you want your young person to feel? You know, if you could have the ability to alleviate some of that pain, then you should try your best to do so. Because we're just coming from different eras, different generations. The bounce back rate is a little bit different. The resiliency rate is a little bit different. You know, we just have to look at those things, and we can't look at our young people as weak, though. You know what I'm saying? Because we come from a different cut of cloth. That's, you know, we've been through some heavy stuff, and we've been able to get back and move forward and pick ourselves up. Just like our brother there, Craig, who shared his journey, that was some heavy stuff. And through the midst of it, he still had faith. He picked himself back and he propelled forward. That doesn't happen to everyone these days, right? Sometimes when a young person falls hard, they fall very hard. And then we have all these other influences and stuff that kind of keep them down, because we're in a time where we record everything. You make a mistake, and that's recorded, and that's going to last for the remainder of your life. So we got to be mindful of the time that we're in, mindful of our language, because as we said, you know, our language is very powerful, and to be a safe person, to create a safe space. Yeah, what else do we have here? I see people asking some stuff. Safe spaces require safe people. Yes, thank you, sir. I heard that too many times for the wrong reasons growing up. As Carlton said, in terms I said, who can't hear must feel. Yeah, sometimes we heard it for the wrong reasons, right? Thanks, Lincoln. That speaks volumes to listen to the voice of youth and not shut them down because they are a child or a youth. Absolutely, right? Sometimes we dismiss the voice of young people because it was like you're not mature yet. You don't really understand the journey. You're not seasoned yet. But everyone's emotions is valid. We have to validate it, right? But it's difficult, especially if you personally have been through your own journey. You build up your own bias in terms of what you think struggle looks like.
That is why it's important to listen,
Yes.
to understand, and not just listen to respond. You know, when
Yes.
you listen to understand, you know, you hear a lot more than just listening to respond back to what you think they're saying, but not really understanding what is really being said.
Right. Yes, Chris. And just if I could piggyback off of that, because I love what you just said. Do you think it is important for us as mentors, parents, guardians, grandparents to respond back right away, especially if something that your young person said to you upsets you? Do you feel it's necessary to respond back spontaneously?
No, sometimes you got to pause for a cause. You got to allow it to process, to resonate with you, to try to understand exactly where this person is coming from, to shift your own perspectives and put yourself in place so you can understand them a lot more better than just assuming what you think you're hearing or what's really happening. So sometimes taking time out and then coming back, you know, makes sense, because at the time you hear it, maybe you don't like what you hear. So it can have you in a place that, you know, you could respond in the wrong way. You can say the wrong thing. Basically, you can upset the whole program more than trying to remedy it. So taking a time out and cycling back makes more sense.
Absolutely. And being able to revisit it, not to ignore it or avoid it, but actually
Correct.
come back to the situation and address it.
Correct. Yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
I just want to agree with what Curtis said. You know, you can't, because at times things are going to anger you, but you can't say things in anger, right? You got to try to handle it with your spirit as much as possible. Because the first thing is old mentality. You say, boy, who you think you're going to talk to? This is my house. You can't do X, Y, Z. We have to pause, suck it in, pray about it, and then release it. Because if we just release it out of anger, we just mess up the whole thing. And talking about safe places, safe spaces, I got to go back to when I was growing up. We had a friend, the parents opened up the basement of their house to us so we could stay out of trouble. I mean, we still got in trouble, but we didn't get in a lot of trouble because we could go breakdancing, we could go to go rent movies, have parties in their house. People come from north, south, east, and west just to come to that house. And that saved a lot of people. People we didn't know. They just heard about, yo, those guys are in the basement. The next thing you know, people are showing up. Could that happen today? It have to be incentives. I don't know. But safe spaces got to be created. Educational wise, and it has to be a fun-based program.
Yes.
You got to keep them engaged.
I agree, 100%. And Andy came up with a good idea. He says that we should do there's a questionnaire, right? Or a
just
feedback.
a feedback. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
let me just share that as well.
So I could say some closing stuff here. before you populate. Oh, there we go. Okay. So in regards to our conversation here, we would love to hear your feedback. This feedback helps us to continue these conversations and lets us kind of strategize how frequent should we do it. Craig and others said we should really involve the youth in these conversations, which I would love to because we need to hear from their voice and their lens. And also, it's just really good to hear other perspectives in terms of topics. What can we bring up and how frequent should we bring up those particular topics in this space? I would like to say that I completely appreciate all of you that are in this space, all of the gentlemen that are on this panel. I respect all of you. Everything you said was completely valid and appreciated. For the guests who decided to chime in, I appreciate that because that doesn't happen all the time. And I really enjoyed that you were able to contribute to this wonderful moment and opportunity for us to build and strategize. You know, I love the fact that we had a mother, Samantha, that she was able to voice her concerns. She has a concern for her 18-year-old son, and she should have a concern. Because right now, being Black and 18 is difficult, especially if you're not situated accordingly. So I thank her so much. Carlton, this space is a blessing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for participating. It's a Thursday night. It's almost Friday. And those who decided to be here decided to be here. And I completely, appreciate that. Yeah. Does anyone else want to share anything before we close off?
Well, I definitely need the numbers and stuff for these men on this panel who have impacted me in a big way.
I will have all of that stuff to send.
Yeah. You got to send that. I'm on the chase now. I'm on the trail. I'm on the trail, man. I got some singers with me now, man. Wow. John, thank you so much, my brother.
Everyone share. Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Tasia, what did you say? Share your email now. Oh, yeah, there's emails that could be shared. I'll just put it to hosts and panelists. My email is, hopefully I spell it right because I can't type too good. Oh boy, this will probably take me 2 weeks to finish. That's my weakest skill set.
I want to say thank you as well. It was as you mentioned, it's a Thursday. It's Friday Eve. Holidays are around the corner.
Yes.
And I think to myself sometimes, these aren't they might not be panels that I would join at this certain time. So for you to come and join in is very inspiring and very welcoming. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you for coming in, and for those on the panel, for those who spoke, it was just great to hear from everyone, and for me to learn more so than anything else, for me to listen and to learn from all of you. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone too, and I really want to give a shout out to Craig. Craig, thanks for sharing your story, man, and continue to walk in faith.
Yes.
Stay strong, stay encouraged, and stay grounded. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I will do that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Hi to our panelists. So a lot of your emails, it's only myself and you guys can see it. So if you don't mind just sharing where people can contact you out loud, either an email address or your website or maybe your Instagram, so people can share, maybe continue conversation in the DMs.
Okay.
Can I share one thing before I go? Before we go tonight?
Absolutely.
I realized that, and I want to speak to the mother that has the 18-year-old son. She's still there? I don't know.
She may have logged off.
She may have left, but
Yes, I am. No, I'm still here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Samantha's still here.
She's still there. I want to encourage her to let her know, right? Your son may not know this now, but he is very talented. He has a talent, And he needs to be reminded sometimes how special and how talented he is. And sometimes as young men, as young Black men, we may not get to see our talents as other little pathways of life are blocking us. But he's gifted. He's talented. He has a talent. He's here for a purpose. And we are going to figure out a way. If we have to go to schools, sometimes we can't. There's so much youth we can't go. We got to go to the youth. So if we got to go to these schools, the churches, wherever these youth are, we need to go and be a voice to them, share our experience, and help them as much as we can.
Amen. Thank you.
100%.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're very welcome.
I also wanted to just say how appreciative I am of Craig to come on and be vulnerable. Something I'm very passionate about is understanding that the true power is found in vulnerability, right? Because when you're able to share where you are, that's where the most support is received, right? So I really, really appreciate you sharing.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I really appreciate everyone on the panel. You guys are incredible. Jama, you killed it. Gary, Amdi, Curtis, John, thank you guys so much for having me as well. Everyone that came out on a Thursday night is amazing. You could have been doing anything else, but instead you're here having a conversation that's important, right? If it wasn't important, you wouldn't be here. So this is also something that you should applaud yourself over for being a part of the conversation, especially those that participated. We really appreciate you. My information, again, for those that don't know, my name is Lincoln Alexander Estridge. You can find me at laeagenda@gmail.com. Again, the business that I would probably support you with most would be Success Support. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
I just want to also say thank you to Craig for sharing his story. Thank you all for participating in the chat, asking questions. Whoever raised their hand and also wanted to participate, thank you so much. And then I also wanted to thank the panelists as well for taking the time out of your night to come and be here. You know, and as a student, I feel like I'm learning a lot from you all, especially from those who are so much experienced like Gary, Curtis, and John, and also seeing younger guys like Lincoln and Jama. I feel like there's a great group here and we are doing so good for the community, and we just need to continue this, you know, and we have to be the people that, you know, that we are mentors and people that guide others, you know. So it's not an easy task, it's not an easy job, but as long as we do right by our people, you know, we're going somewhere. It's all about progress, right? So I want to thank all of you guys. I hope you guys have a great night, and please also, we want your feedback. Please use the QR code. We want to do this every year, you know, and I know John and the rest of the team, John, Curtis, and the rest of the team are very passionate about, you know, having panels like this. So we want to organize and do more. So thank you.
Absolutely welcome. And we will continue these conversations. It may even be more frequent than every year.
Oh yes. We can't chill for long.
No.
Yeah, we need it.
No. Don't take off the pilot light.
No.
Keep it on simmer.
Right.
A low heat.
All right, gents, be well.
Yeah.
Blessings, and we'll get caught up soon again.
Okay.
Give
Thank you,
thanks.
everyone.
Seasons greetings.
Anything.
Eat
Good
well.
night, everybody.
Okay.
This is
Happy
good.
Good night.
Have
Take
a
good
good
care.
night.
Take good care.